Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into the story of Ethereum.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, we're going behind the scenes using excerpts from Camila Russo's The Infinite Machine.
A classic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From Bitcoin's beginnings to, well, all the drama that comes with creating something groundbreaking. Buckle up.
It's a wild ride for sure. Russo really captures the energy of it all, the excitement, the conflicts, all of it.
So before we get to Ethereum, got to start with Bitcoin,
Yeah.
right? Just a quick refresher. Bitcoin was created in 2008 by the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto.
Right, but Bitcoin wasn't just like a tech thing.
It was more than that.
Oh yeah, it was a whole philosophy deeply rooted in the cypherpunk movement.
Okay, cypherpunk. Sounds kind of sci-fi, no?
Ha, yeah, a little bit. But these were real people, like tech activists back in the 80s and 90s, worried about, government surveillance and corporations taking over the internet.
So fighting for freedom online, basically.
Exactly. They believed in privacy, and cryptography was their weapon of choice.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was, in a way, their ultimate vision.
Digital cash, free from the powers that be. That's powerful.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you consider Russo's own experience in Argentina. Imagine banks shutting down, limits on cash withdrawals, your savings just gone.
That puts things into perspective. That's why Bitcoin resonated with so many.
They offered a way out, an alternative.
Okay, so for those who are new to this, how does Bitcoin actually work? Blockchain, right? That's the magic word.
Blockchain is the heart of it. It's like a giant public ledger of every Bitcoin transaction ever,
Yeah.
distributed across a network of computers.
So no one entity controls it.
Nope. It's decentralized. Can't be censored or manipulated. Every transaction is verified and added to the blockchain through, mining.
Right, those powerful computers solving crazy math problems.
And the winner gets to add the next block of transactions to the chain. They get rewarded with Bitcoin.
But mining is more than just getting Bitcoin, right?
It also secures the entire network, keeps it all running smoothly. That's the beauty of it.
So Bitcoin was this revolutionary thing. Then comes along Vitalik Buterin, this programming prodigy.
Deeply involved in the Bitcoin scene, even co-founded Bitcoin magazine.
But he saw limitations in Bitcoin.
He did. He started asking, what if blockchain could do even more?
More? Like what?
Well, Bitcoin was good for, transferring value like digital cash. But Vitalik, he imagined a blockchain that could run any kind of decentralized app. DApps, as we call them now.
Whoa, hold on. That's like going from a basic calculator to a supercomputer.
Exactly. He saw the potential to change everything, from finance to how we interact online. This was his Ethereum.
And he wrote it all down in a white paper. Made some serious waves.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just technical jargon. It was a rallying cry for developers, for everyone who believed in this vision.
They needed that community, for sure. Building this thing was no small feat.
No kidding. And that's where the real story of Ethereum begins. Building Ethereum. It wasn't just about the code. It was about building a whole movement.
A movement, huh?
Yeah, and, movements have their growing pains, their conflicts.
Right. Russo talks about the team working out of this, rented house in Switzerland, called it the spaceship.
Ah, the spaceship.
You can almost feel the energy in that place, right? Long hours, pizza boxes everywhere, all driven by this idea of decentralization.
They really believed they were building something big, something that could change the power dynamics.
But governing a decentralized thing, that's got to be tough.
It is. Figuring out how decisions are made, how to resolve disputes, that's a challenge, even today.
So it's one thing to have the vision, but actually putting it into practice, it's totally different.
Absolutely. And that's where things got interesting with Charles Hoskinson. He came in as CEO.
Oh, yeah, Charles. He brought some serious business acumen to the table, didn't he?
He did. And he was all about structure, a more traditional approach to building Ethereum.
But that clashed with some of the, let's say, more idealistic developers.
Yeah, there was some fundamental disagreement about how Ethereum should be governed, how much influence traditional corporate structures should have.
Some felt like that went against the whole idea of decentralization, right?
Exactly. It was like two philosophies colliding. The pragmatists versus the idealists.
A classic struggle. On one side, you've got folks focused on sustainability, attracting investment. And on the other, those fiercely committed to the core principles, the community ownership aspect.
And it all came to a head. Eventually, Charles left the project.
That was a turning point. Forced the community to ask some really tough questions.
Like, what does it really mean to be decentralized? How do you make decisions in a system like that? These are questions we're still grappling with.
So how did they even launch Ethereum without a CEO? They still needed funding, right?
That's where the Ether sale comes in. A pivotal moment. back in 2014. They offered Ether, Ethereum's cryptocurrency, in exchange for Bitcoin.
Whoa, selling a token for a platform that wasn't even live yet.
Talk about a leap of faith. Those early investors were putting their trust in Vitalik's vision.
But it paid off, didn't it?
It did. They raised around $18 million, gave them the resources they needed to launch the Ethereum network.
That must have been such a rush, seeing this thing they'd poured their hearts into finally come alive.
It was. And the early days were full of excitement. The first DApps started popping up, showing the world what Ethereum could do.
I remember hearing about Augur, that decentralized prediction market. Sounded pretty wild.
It was. Imagine a platform where you can bet on anything, elections, sports, whatever. The outcome determines the payout.
So no more bookies, no centralized control.
Exactly. Everything's managed by code on the blockchain. Transparent, open to anyone. Augur was a glimpse into the future.
A future with a lot of potential, but also a lot of risk.
Yeah, and the DAO hack really brought that to light.
The DAO, remind me what that was again?
It stood for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. It was basically a venture capital fund run entirely by a smart contract on Ethereum.
Whoa, so like algorithms making investment decisions? That seems kind of risky, no?
It was a bold experiment, for sure. And it attracted a ton of attention, raised over $150 million in Ether.
But then, the hack.
Yeah, someone found a flaw in the code and, well, drained millions of dollars worth of Ether.
That must have sent shockwaves through the community.
It did. And it sparked this huge debate about what to do. How do you respond to something like that?
So what were the options?
There were two main camps, the soft fork folks and the hard fork folks.
Okay, refresh my memory on what a soft fork is again.
A soft fork is basically a software update that makes the blockchain incompatible with older versions.
Like setting new rules that everyone has to follow? But wouldn't the attackers still have the stolen funds?
That was the issue. The attacker couldn't spend the funds on the updated network, but they wouldn't be recovered.
So the hard fork, that's the more extreme option.
Yeah, hard fork is like rewriting the blockchain, going back in time to reverse the hack.
Rewriting history, that's got to be controversial.
It was. Some people felt it went against everything blockchain stood for. The idea that it's permanent and unchangeable.
It's a tough call. On one hand, you've got the sanctity of the code, but on the other, someone just stole millions. It's a real ethical dilemma.
It was. And the community was divided. But in the end, they voted for the hard fork. They reversed the hack.
That was huge, a defining moment for Ethereum.
Definitely. It raised all sorts of questions about governance, security, the very nature of decentralized systems.
Questions we're still asking today.
And it wasn't just a theoretical thing. It had real consequences.
How so?
Well, some people opposed the hard fork. They stayed on the original chain, which became Ethereum Classic.
So the DAO hack didn't just change how Ethereum operated. It created a whole new blockchain.
It's a reminder that these systems are powerful, but also complex. They come with challenges.
This is what makes the story of Ethereum so fascinating. It's not just about the tech. It's about people, ideas, and how they evolve.
Exactly. The DAO hack wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a new chapter.
That DAO hack, it really shook things up.
Yeah, it was a wake-up call for sure.
Made everyone rethink, security, governance, the whole shebang.
And Russo does a great job of showing how Ethereum adapted, how it learned from that experience.
She tells a story about Alvaro, a bank worker in Argentina who went through that 2001 financial crisis.
Oh, yeah.
He saw firsthand how fragile traditional finance can be, and then years later, boom, same problems. Inflation, no access to credit, currency going down the drain.
And that's where Ethereum comes in.
It does. How?
Well, Alvaro finds this platform, Ripio. It's a crypto exchange, but they also offer loans backed by crypto using Ethereum.
Wait, so you can use your crypto as collateral? That's pretty cool.
It is. Especially for someone like Alvaro who might not qualify for traditional loans. It opens up a whole new world.
It's like Ethereum is leveling the playing field, giving people more control.
Exactly. And it's global.
Yeah.
That loan could be funded by anyone, anywhere in the world. No banks, no middlemen.
Wow, that's powerful. Imagine the impact this could have on, financial inclusion, especially in places where traditional systems just aren't working.
It's huge. And it goes way beyond finance, too. Russo talks about supply chain management, digital art, even voting systems built on Ethereum.
It seems like the possibilities are endless, but there's got to be some roadblocks too, right?
Of course. Scalability is still a big one. Ethereum 2.0 is a step in the right direction, but the network needs to handle more transactions faster and cheaper.
Makes sense. And what about regulation? Governments are still trying to figure out this whole crypto thing.
Yeah, that uncertainty can slow things down, make people hesitant.
So big question. What's next for Ethereum? Can it really become this world computer everyone's talking about?
It's hard to say for sure, but what's undeniable is that Ethereum has created a movement. It's inspired so many people.
Developers, entrepreneurs, everyday folks, all believing in this vision of a more decentralized future.
A future where individuals have more power, more control over their data, their finances.
And it's a future we're all building together. That's what I love about this space.
Me too. It's not just about the tech. It's about the people, the community, the shared vision.
And that's what makes this story so exciting. It's still unfolding. Who knows what the next chapter will bring? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Absolutely. Until next time.